Welcome back to Crypto Front. This is the front line where we are fighting together side by side for financial freedom. Let's go ahead and take a look at the ZEBEC price. As you can see that we have got a giant candle that has just shown up right there for ZEBEC, and it's not really coming as a surprise because throughout the whole of last week, this is what we have actually been looking forward to. If you remember correctly, I was drawing this downward sloping resistance, saying that finally ZEBEC has actually managed to break above this whole thing that has been pushing the price down. So technically we were in an uptrend. So of course it's a great feeling when the whole thing begins to really act as it's supposed to do right there. But let's go ahead and take a look at what this really means and where we are expecting the price to go next. But before we start, I just want to kindly ask you to help me spread the video by delicately tapping the like button. It will tell the YouTube algorithm that yes, this video is short and straight to the point, but it's still very much relevant, right? And the video will be shown to as many people as possible. So on this daily time frame, we're actually seeing that there was a double bottom there for ZEBEC, and ZEBEC has finally been able to break the neckline right there. Technically speaking, what you want to do in terms of measuring how high the whole thing can go is to take a look at the length between the bottoms and the neckline right there. And what you do then is at the point of breakout, then we are now beginning to target these technical levels, the last resistance before you get to a new all-time high here for ZEBEC. So as you can already see, we are looking like we are headed for a very, very exciting period in the market for the ZEBEC price, provided that we break this resistance. I will just go ahead and quote the figures. That will be right around 0.006 here for ZEBEC. I think once we do something like that, we are going for that 0.0077475 thereabout. I mean, the previous all-time high basically. From there, I think you know what I'm going to be talking about here. We're going to be talking about that structure that Stellar Lumens was having back then in 2017. I have really gone on time and again to explain what's what right there, but maybe we'll touch on it a little bit later on, right? So let's go ahead and take a look at a few indicators to try and see if this breakout is actually something that is legit. I'll start here maybe with the volume, and what we are seeing here is we have about a 50% rise in terms of the volume. Still a little bit low, to be honest with you, because this is only $22 million for something that has got a market cap of maybe number 130 something in terms of the ranking from CoinMarketCap. I would actually be expecting a little bit much more right there, but maybe, just maybe, a lot of people have not noticed ZEBEC yet. Once it breaks into a new all-time high and gets into the top 100, you get more and more recognition. That's really something that has been always true time and again. Now, one other thing that we have been looking forward to is to get a cross on that 50 mark on the RSI. And we have actually had that. That's why you're seeing the price is getting excited. Over the last few days and weeks, I've actually been indicating that this was bringing a rally of more than 100%. Then this one right here was as high as 600%. So it's good to have that as well. But more importantly, we have the MACD. I was also talking about it earlier on, saying that this thing has actually managed to flip bullish. So when I look at all those things, I can't help but believe that this rally that we are seeing is actually very much legit here for the ZEBEC price. Maybe one other thing that we want to take a look at is the 50-day moving average, because that was, okay, at some point it was a resistance, but that has actually been flipped into a support level. So we're looking quite safe right now and quite good. Now, because this is crypto, it's not going to be a surprise if you see at some point the price decides to say, you know what, we didn't back test that breakout level, so it may be the price just comes back to test that 0.0045 level one more time before it eventually starts going right. These are things that we have come to expect in the markets, but when they happen, they feel very much different. Because let me just illustrate to you right now. Let's just say it, I'm just saying at this point, ZEBEC just starts retracing from where it is right now, going back to that 0.0045. That's where it's a minus 10%, and that can instill fear in a lot of people. But I don't think that is what we should be worried about right at this point. The whole thesis is playing out really, really great. And of course, just as I was mentioning, that once we get to something like 0.006 here, the next thing that we are looking for is previous all-time highs. Of course, this brings me to my next most important pattern right there. And that is what the ZEBEC price has been doing throughout this whole cycle, indicating that, look, we have been following what Stellar Lumens was doing back then in 2017. As you can see, it had its Wyckoff accumulation pattern. ZEBEC has also had the opportunity to have its Wyckoff accumulation pattern right there. Maybe let me use a chart which has got more detail. And as you can see here, ZEBEC also had this Wyckoff accumulation pattern, then a huge breakout towards the upside. This was also the same thing that we saw with Stellar Lumens back in the day. A pullback, just as the one that we had here with ZEBEC, is also what Stellar Lumens was having back then. And I've been saying for quite some time, even when we're down here with ZEBEC holding the support, that we should be holding that $0.0034 I meant. and that gives us a chance to go ahead and repeat what Stellar Lumens was doing then. So this is now the kind of thing that I'm anticipating ZEBEC to go ahead and do, just as Stellar Lumens was doing back in the day. And the preliminary price target that I have at this point, which I think is also very much conservative, but still realistic, because at the end of the day, you want to be making money. And if you are somebody who was like me, we were talking about ZEBEC when we were right around like $70 million in terms of the market cap down here, that will actually be a really, really great feat. So at this point, 2.5 cents is the main price target for me. But I've also described over and over again how Stellar Lumens was able to go ahead and really shatter all those price targets. And in that situation, we'll be anticipating ZEBEC to go ahead and probably hit something like 5 cents. These are still very low compared to what a lot of people think about when it comes to ZEBEC, but that's how I'm running my own game right there. We'll see how, we win eventually or we lose. So I want to thank you so much for watching the video. If you could, please delicately tap the like button, share the video with your friends and family. And if you want to be seeing more and more of this ZEBEC content, go ahead, delicately tap that subscribe button, and I'll see you on the next one. Take good care of yourselves. Bye-bye.